Good evening. It's July 18th, 2023, and we are going into closed session item. And since we do have audience, we'll go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Good evening. Do we have any public comment on the closed session items up for the agenda tonight? In person or online?
Good evening. I'm Jan Osborne of Yreka, and I don't really like to talk in conditionals and ifs and maybes, but because it isn't clear what the closed session is about, I have just used my brain and come up with some ideas, and I thought I'm going to make comments about what I have. I've followed this because several of those properties have been on the closed session agenda before. One of them, EV development, is the Hanley property that is right off of 263, just past, right at the north, past the stop sign. And then I noticed that there's 805 Lane, which is pretty close to me. It's a vacant lot and has been vacant for at least, well, I've been here 41 years. But when I drove by there tonight, because it's on my way here, there are pink flags set out, and I think that's to mark boundaries or something that they're going to do. So I jumped to the conclusion that maybe these vacant lots that the city may be buying or selling, I don't know. I know Handley owns that one, so if there's a negotiation, it must be about buying. I mean, I don't know what else it could be. It might have to do with the housing element and putting in multifamily units. If, again, and I don't like to deal with ifs, but because you have public comment, but you don't let anybody know what you're doing in closed session, it's kind of hard to make an informed public comment. But just for your information, as the elected representatives that I helped elect, if 805 Lane is to be multifamily, that's what you're hoping to do with the housing element, I would request that it not be done by right. And I don't remember if that was part of what the housing element was, that any of these developments, multifamily units, whatever, would have to be by right. I would hope that's not the case, because I would want the people who are living in that neighborhood to be notified before there be any development at 805 Lane. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Is there anybody online for comments, Retta? Okay. Everybody's all talking away over here. Good evening, everybody. It's July 18th, 2023, and welcome to the Yreka City Council meeting. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We did have closed session item, our closed session meeting, and we do not have any reportable action out on any of those items at this time. Okay, and go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I do have a request that we continue item number 8, which is the appointment to the Planning Commission. that we continue that actually to next meeting. There is some contradictory information on the agenda itself. One place it refers to 2 seats, and then the recommended action is to appoint 1. So I'd just like to see that corrected and brought back.
Thank you. I did speak with our attorney and we can make a correction, just let everybody knows, but it's up to the council. We can make a correction on the error on the agenda. This is for public, for their knowledge to know what's going on. The recommended action on page 76 of your packet is correct. And that is what we go by, not the front page. And he said we can move forward with the item tonight with the correction. But what are the wishes of the council? Councilman McKay?
That's fine, to move forward as long as the rest of council is feeling it.
Okay, Councilman McCoy's move forward. I move forward. Councilman Davis?
No, Mayor, I have to agree that you're very well.
Oh, she requested for the item for the appointment of the planning commissioner to be taken off and moved for 2 more weeks because there's a clerical error on the front page that states appointment of 2 people, and it's okay. You want to move forward with correcting the, okay. So we will move forward, Ms. Baker.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much for your consideration.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. If we can correct that, Ms. Hogan. Okay, item number 5. This is special presentations and or announcements. This time slot is for informational presentation, appointments and awards presented by the city council or to the city council. Mr. Ledbetter.
Yeah, we have none this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Public comments. This is public comment participation time. Public participation is welcomed and invited at all city council meetings. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda, as well as other items not included on the regular agenda. If your comments concern an item noted on the regular agenda, please address the council when that item is open for public comment. The city requests that persons addressing the city council refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, or disruptive remarks. Council members, when recognized by the mayor, may ask clarifying questions of the presenter, but no action may be taken by the city during the public comment section of the meeting. Under the Brown Act, the city council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not posted on the agenda. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda, as well as other items not included on the agenda. If your comments concern an item listed under the public hearing or new business section of the agenda, please address the council when that item is open for public comment. Please speak into the microphone from the podium. The podium electronically adjusts up and down to accommodate the speaker. Please state your name for the record prior to providing your comments. Please address the council as a whole. If you have documents to present, please provide a minimum of 7 copies. These become public record. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Since council is unable to take action on issues not on the agenda, your matter may be referred to staff for follow-up or placed on future agenda. Public comments period is not intended to be a question and answer period or conversations with council or city staff. And just want to remind people to please silence their cell phone. I did forget to give that reminder. Public comment. Lorenzo.
Love. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a new TV series called City of Weed. City manager navigates the challenge of running a small mountain town in Weed, California, with the help and hindrance of an eccentric city council and town folks. I think we really missed out on something like this. A Wild West TV program along the lines of Deadwood, it would be great. There's a lot of history here. Mark Twain was here, Black Bart, a lot of Crabtree. It's somebody who's a professional writer wrote a screenplay, a script. That might be a good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Anybody else for public comment?
Glenn White, City of Yreka. By the way, great job on Greenhorn, looking beautiful. Lots of things coming and going. Even the area back behind the museum looks great. You got one little spot, needs a little bit, but you're doing a fine job on that. All right. Well, you saw the letters from the business owners and property owners, and I hope you read them, of course. So we know there's a continuing issue, right? And we know that realistically, only about 40 people are the ones causing all this trouble. We're going to call them the top 40. All right. We've had 6+ years of no actionable solutions for the top 40, have we? No, because they're still up on the hill. Jefferson Inn is a noble cause. It's going to work out, but it does nothing but move around the chess pieces a little bit, really. We're still not addressing the top 40, are we? No, we're not. Actually, it's going to displace a little bit of some of those people that are down there while they're making the modifications, and they're going to find that thing. They are. So city has ample money in the budget. We've looked at that and we can see you could actually fix this issue with no grants needed, none. The money coming into the city of Yreka should be used to better the citizens' lives in Yreka, not to have a $25 million savings account. City has a viable location, Old City Campground, perfect spot. I don't want to hear about the well, because that's not factual statement. I don't want to hear about the damages by somebody going to sue you. Those aren't factually. There's been no damages, so there's not going to be any suit. I went online and I penciled out for you on the pallet houses. It's pretty simple. You can do that. Pallet houses, $6,500, pretty easily. 20 double occupancy pallet houses would cost you about $130,000 plus about $20,000 delivery. Infrastructure is going to cost you around $300,000. Water, power, grading, paving, fencing. 2 pallet bathrooms run you about $30,000. You can remodel the old Yreka TV building as a community hall. Easy. $650,000 will fix this. It will. Absolutely will fix this. You can take that money off the interest off your LAIF account this year and take care of the issue. Build this into your 2023 budget. Build it a budget assumption. Make this happen. Don't spend money when you don't need to on land. You've got a perfect spot down there right now. Save that money for a pool or a fire hall. Let's have the business owners no longer be afraid to go to work. Let's let the citizens no longer be afraid to go to the store. Let's our community children have an opportunity to attend our community college without fear. Let's clean up that environmental disaster upon that hillside. You can do it. It's not that hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Any other comments? Public comment? Okay. I will close public comments. Number 7, consent agenda. Can't even talk tonight. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. A, approval ratification of payments issued from June 15th, 2023 through July 9th, 2023. B, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held June 20th, 2023. C, approval of minutes of the special meeting held July 12th, 2023. The recommended city council action before you is the motion to adopt the consent agenda of the Yreka City Council of the City of Yreka as presented. What are the wishes of the council? Councilman McCoy?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman McCoy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And I have a second from Councilman Kaag. I will take a roll call. Councilman Kaag?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilman Baker?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
And I will be aye. I will be aye. Old business. This is our city council and me, Mayor Middleton. title, the council is being asked to make a recommendations for a mayor appointment to 2 seats on the planning commission. The applicants are being considered are Don Marie Autry and Peter O'Brien. The recommended city council action before you is the city council action make recommendations to the mayor for mayor appointments to fill 1 expired term on the planning commission. Mr. Ledbetter.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Yreka City Council. This is Jason Ledbetter, the city manager. So just for correction, you are only looking to fill 1 seat this evening on the planning commission. If you'll recall, interviews for the 2 applicants that have applied took place in front of this council June 20th of 2023. And so ultimately, we are coming back around to find out tonight if there is a motion for one of these applicants to move forward and fill the seat, the vacant seat that is currently available.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. What are the wishes of the council? Councilman Baker.
Thank you so much, Mayor Middleton. After listening to both applicants speak and go through the application process, I would like to nominate Don Maria Autry to fill the vacancy.
I have a motion to nominate Don Maria Autry. Do I have a second for Don Maria Autry for a vote? Do I have a second for Don Maria Autry to fill the position? No second? I will second the motion for Don Maria Autry. I'll go for a vote. What are the wishes of the council? Sorry, joking. Councilman Kay.
It's a tough one. I know you have a motion in a second, so,
Point of
yeah, I know, I'm gonna say one.
point of order, are nominations closed? Are nominations closed?
Will they go around and
He has a motion in a second, so.
So I'm going around for roll call.
I understand, but motion is second does not close. Is our attorney on the phone?
I believe he's live.
Peter, are you there?
This is how we did, this is how we did it in the past.
Peter?
Hi, Andrew.
So.
Councilman has a question, a point of
Close
order.
nominations Before we vote,
I'm sorry, there was talking over there. I didn't hear your question, Councilmember.
we have to close nominations before we vote.
There are various ways of doing this type of procedure. One way that you're referring to is you nominate all the people and then that would be for a position. And then take the questions asking to approve those who have been nominated. The other would be to proceed as you have now with a motion and a second as to one person, knowing that there is another out there as well, and see where this one lands and then see if there's anything that comes out of it after that.
Thank you. And this is the way we did it last time, so I'm just doing what was instructed.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I have a first and a second for the nomination of Don Maria Autry. I will go to roll call again. Councilman Kaag.
I started to say, this is a tough one, because we have a person.
This is a tough one.
I know I shouldn't be explaining myself, but I'm going to. I'll get yelled at, but we have a person that's sitting on that seat and experienced, and we have a person that's passionate and wants to take that seat. So it's a hard one because I've been in that position numerous times, you know. And there's nothing against it, but I'm gonna have to say nay. I'm sorry. With experience, if there was 2 positions open, I would definitely say yes. So I'm sorry, nay.
It's a nay from Councilman Kaag. Councilman Davis,
Councilman Kaag, what did you vote?
nay.
Nay.
Nay? You know, when I went through the information, is it okay if I speak?
Go ahead. If you want to speak before your vote, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor. I read through the applications and listened to him speak also. Mr. O'Brien shows experience and short and concise answers in his questionnaire. And Don Marie showed, or excuse me, Miss Autry showed, she spent quite a bit of time preparing her answers, and there's tremendous amount of passion, like Mr. Kaga said, and would do well for Yreka. But my feeling is that the Mr. O'Brien seems to be a nonsense type of a guy, and he has the experience. So I guess if I have to vote, I have to vote nay.
And I have a nay from Councilman Davis. Councilman Baker,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy, Pro Tem McCoy.
Miss Autry is definitely deserving of being on the planning commission, and I want to see her on the planning commission one day, but at this point, with the chairman, with Peter O'Brien as the chairman, and I know he's not here tonight, but he does have he has a little more history at this point in time, so I'm going to say nay on that.
And it's a nay, so the motion fails for the nomination. And so now we go to Peter O'Brien, the current person who's holding the seat. What are the wishes of the council? We have to go for a vote.
Yeah.
What are the wishes of the council?
I'll make a motion to nominate Mr. O'Brien.
I have a motion from Councilman Kaag for Peter O'Brien for the planning commissioner seat. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
I have a second from Councilman Davis. I'll go for roll call. Councilman Kaag.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Baker.
Aye.
Councilman McCoy.
I would like to say something before I do this. I would like to see Miss Autry on the, and there will be more openings, and I'm going to encourage her to stay with us because she is here anyway, and she has a lot to offer. I'm going to vote aye.
Okay. And it's me. Well, I mean, every vote matters, but at this point, but I will move forward, Mr. O'Brien, so I will vote aye as well, because he does have experience, but I do appreciate your passion you have for the city and keep trying. I know we're going to have openings again, so I hope you do try. And thank you so much for your interest. So Peter O'Brien is a 5-0 vote for filling or keeping his seat. Thank you, council. It was an easy decision. Okay, new business. City manager suggests Jason Ledbetter. This is the Siskiyou Scenic Bike Tour, May 17th, 18th, 19th of 2024. Mr. Ledbetter.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Yreka City Council. Once again, this is Jason Ledbetter, the city manager for the city of Yreka. And I just want to thank Crystal Duncan, who is going to come up here behind me because she's the most organized person that puts an event on in the city of Yreka. And they had a very successful bike event this year that we're in 2023. And we're only in July, and here she is buttoned up with all of the information to seek approval for next year's event. And so I will hand it over to Crystal at this point to come answer questions and give you kind of a synopsis and overview of maybe the success of this year's event and what next year's looks like.
Thank you, Crystal Duncan, event director for the Siskiyou Scenic Bicycle Tour, which is part of Rotary Club of Yreka. So distinguished city council members, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Yreka, we're asking for a resolution allowing us to use Upper Greenhorn Park for the Siskiyou Scenic Bicycle Tour to be held May 18th and 19th of 2024. We held this event this year, May 6th and 7th, and despite challenging weather, it was a very successful event. We had 229 riders from California, Oregon, Nevada, and Utah. And the Jefferson Mountain Bike Association partnered with our Rotary Club for the first time to put on a 2-day event. We decided to move it to the third weekend in May to hopefully have a little bit better weather. The riders were able to enjoy our beautiful city and county. Our merchants and businesses benefited from their stay here, as most of the out-of-town visitors spent the weekend in Yreka. We are requesting the use of Upper Greenhorn Park on the 18th and 19th, plus the option for riders to camp both the night of May 17th prior to the ride and the night of the 18th. We also will have a picnic lunch served to the returning riders in the afternoon, both days at Upper Greenhorn Park between noon and 5 p.m. by a caterer. We're hoping to have 350 riders this year, but the numbers are very dependent upon the weather. We request permission to sell beer on the afternoon of the 18th and 19th, collect ride fees from riders, and sell t-shirts related to the ride. Our Rotary Club has replaced the wooden picnic tables at Upper Greenhorn Park with long-lasting cement tables. The Jefferson Mountain Bike Association does trail maintenance and new trails at the park and are planning to redo the trail signage at Greenhorn Park. In addition, our $500 deposit that was paid prior to this year's event, we would like to carry over to the 2024 event. And we thank you so much as the City Council for your great support of this event. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Any questions from the council? Mr. Davis, Councilman Davis?
Dr. Duncan, I was very impressed with your packet. I think that was just phenomenal. We haven't seen one quite like that come in the door since I've been on the council. So thank you very much for that. And I hope your biking tour is a success.
Well, thank you.
you,
Yeah, the
Council.
ride maps for all the routes are in your packets here, and one of them is different this year. We try and change things up a little bit so that people aren't riding the same routes every year. And our 101-mile route this year will go over Forest Mountain through Scott Valley and then back over from Callahan to Gazelle and back up. It's over 6,000 feet of elevation.
Wow. Councilman McCoy?
Dr. Duncan, I know what an undertaking it is because I did it with you with you and Jerry and everybody for about 11 years. I want to thank you for what you're doing, but I want to personally thank Rotary for the picnic tables they've been putting in. And I know that at one point in time, it's been pointed out to me on council that was part of a master plan for camping also at Greenhorn with Dave Samuelson and some other Rotarians. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys have put those tables and they look great. I don't want to say they're indestructible because, we do have all kinds of people in the world, but thank you very much. And thank you for what you do through Rotary for the bike ride, for the community and everything.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. Councilman Kay?
Just want to add to it. Yeah, I think it's so great. And the more events we see up at Greenhorn, this is such a huge community asset, Greenhorn Park is, and to incorporate some huge event that's going to bring people from all over the area, from different areas, different parts of the United States and maybe even the world. It's a big bike tour anymore that people are enjoying, and they're intense rides, I can tell. And it's good though, because we have a community that's really into bicycling. So it's going to bring in more for businesses and for everybody. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Greenhorn Park is a real gem for our community. I was walking there today and saw an otter. And, every time I go walking, I see something that really just touches me. Thank you for us having such a great park.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you've done to bring this event. I know it's very popular, and with the wishes of the council, will hopefully it goes forward, which I'm sure it will. We'll wish for good weather and a good turnout for you. Thank you so much. Okay, the recommended city council action before you is the motion to adopt the resolution 20. Oh, Mr. Ledbetter.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure we do public.
Oh, I'm
comment.
sorry. I almost missed public comment on the, I totally forgot. Sorry. Siskiyou Scenic Bike Tour. Any public comments regarding the Siskiyou Scenic Bike Tour to occupy Greenhorn Park on May 17th, 18th, and 19th of 2024? No public comment. Okay, I will come back to council. Close public comment. Recommend City Council action before you is the motion to adopt resolution 23-30 approving requests associated with a special event known as the Siskiyou Scenic Bicycle Tour to be held on the dates of Friday, May 17th, 2024, Saturday, May 18th, 2024, and Sunday, May 18th, 2024. What are? Oh. Okay, there is a typo to correct. It should say May 8th, 17th, May 18th, and 19th. It's May 18th is twice here on the front. Can we correct that, please, Ms. Hogan? So it is to be held on May 17th, 18th, and 19th of 2024. All right, sorry. What are the wishes of the council? Okay, Councilman Cake.
So move.
I have a motion for Councilman Cake. I have a
Councilman
Go
McCoy
ahead.
seconds that motion.
and a second from Councilman McCoy. I'll go for roll call. Councilman Cake,
Aye.
Councilman Davis,
Aye.
Councilman Baker,
Yes.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
and Mayor Middleton will be aye. Congratulations. The motion is passed. Okay. Okay, item B, this is the title for a special event known as National Night Out before us. Mr. Ledbetter.
I've only spoken to this gentleman on the phone, but we're on the same page, right? Mr. Harris, okay, all right. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is in Yreka City Council. Once again, Jason Ledbetter, the city manager for the city of Yreka. So we were approached recently by Mr. Harris, who will come up and kind of field questions to do an event on Minor Street called National Night Out. And I'll let Mr. Harris give you an understanding of what that is, but it is not specific to the city of Yreka. It's happening all over the United States. And so ultimately, Mr. Harris is requesting some in-kind labor costs for the closure of Minor Street that we estimate at just under $707. And so we have a recommended motion here to adopt resolution approving street closures and request to appropriate in-kind services for the Siskiyou County Gun Owners, chapter of CRPA, event known as National Night Out. And Mr. Harris, if you don't mind coming up and elaborating more on your event, and then if you wouldn't mind fielding some questions as well, that'd be wonderful.
And I'm not going to call him Mr. Harris because I've known him a very, 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 very long time. So, hey, Jesse.
No, that's all right. Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Jess Harris. I'm actually the Northern California Programs Representative for California Rifle and Pistol Association. But I'm here tonight on behalf of Siskiyou County Gun Owners, which is the local community chapter. We wanted to give some recognition to our law enforcement. National Night Out is, as in its name it says, it's a national event. It started as block parties all throughout, the United States, bringing law enforcement and their agencies together with the community, building morale, building positive relationships with the community, and then especially in today's world, they have a tough job. They have a very tough job that a lot of us wouldn't want any part of. I feel like their morale is down. As through all of the rural counties, I deal with a lot of sheriff's departments and stuff in my job. Pay is an issue. So I think that for us to come together as a community and show our support for these guys and, get our kids interacting with these people and let people know that these are our neighbors, these are our family, these are our friends, that's very important. I'm working with Talia at Bella's to come up with different activities, try to do maybe like a YPD versus sheriff's office tug of war and, do some street chalk stuff, keep the kids interested. So that's really what it's about, is it's bringing attention to, our law enforcement. That's the guys out there that are taking care of us.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. I will open up to the council for questions or comments. I'm sorry. Questions or comments? Councilman Baker?
Thank you so much. I am really supportive of this event. I do have a couple of thoughts that came to mind when I read through this. I'm just concerned that your event is the first of the month, and typically that's a very busy time for the businesses on Minor Street, especially the restaurants. And so I'm concerned, I'm just concerned about that timing and how it will affect their businesses. And I noticed that there were no letters of support from businesses, which we typically see when we have these requests that come forward. So have you contacted the businesses on Minor Street, and are they supportive of this?
Yes, so Ken Barnes called and left a voicemail. I still have to reach out to him, but he's interested. Bella's is obviously interested because they're helping. I was talking to Chris Taylor, and we have Minor Street Mercantile, Level Up, Brad Ish, Lona Mays, Zephyrs, pretty much the whole street's on board already.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And so what is this event going to look like? You mentioned a tug of war. So are there going to be activities? Are there going to be food vendors? Are we just going to come and meet and greet law enforcement?
So when I spoke with CHP, like the one thing that they're wanting to really hammer in on this specific event when they're there are car seats. And so they're gonna do car seat information. They're gonna start taking appointments for people to go down to the CHP office and learn how to properly put seatbelts in. So you're gonna have, I think there's only 2 law enforcement agencies I haven't got confirmation from, and that's Lake Shastina and Weed. Mount Shasta is supposed to bring the K9 unit down, do K9 demos. Spoke with YPD, spoke with CHP, Sheriff's Office. We're gonna allow vendors to come in. And then, so like what the plan was is that Minor Street section, because the closure is that pre-engineered closure, so it is what it is. Like, we don't want to re-engineer. So we're gonna put vendors and nonprofit booths on Minor Street there. And then for the other section of what that closure entails, do the activities and stuff so that, things aren't colliding. We're talking about doing like squirt gun wars out there because obviously August 1st is going to be warm. So it's going to be similar to a block party, I guess, would be the best thing. I'm trying to find someone to play some music right there in that pavilion. I talked to Liberty Arts this morning. We're going to be a little more organized next year. I've been extremely busy this year. And then I was working with Sean Gordon to do one last year, and then he promoted to out of area. So I started this year, and then it kind of got lost, to be honest with you. And then Greg Perkins with CHP reached back out to me. I'm like, oh, Fred, I'm behind. So that's why I'm coming to you as late as I am.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say that as a grandma to an infant, the first time I installed my granddaughter's the base to the car seat in my car, I did it in an amazing 72 minutes. So I appreciate the Highway Patrol that they're always so willing to help out new parents and grandparents alike. Mr. Ledbetter, I would assume then if there's going to be vendors that they would have to get a day license. And
if they don't currently operate a business in the city, yes, we do a day business license.
okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you answering my questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman Baker. Any other questions from the council?
No, just comment. So,
Comment from Councilman Kay?
thank you for putting this on. It's much needed to bring the public and law enforcement together in a positive way. Like you said, through this whole pandemic it's been real hard on all of our law enforcement, and to let the law enforcement know that we're here for support them in absolutely every way we can. So this is great. Bring everybody together and for putting this on. We need more events and downtown Minor Street. So the more the merrier. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Kay. Council members, any other council members? Councilman Davis? Oh,
Yes,
ahead.
thank you very much, Mr. Harris, for getting involved in this. I think it's a real positive thing for our community, and it's also positive for law enforcement officers to meet people on a different plane than on a negative one. This is a positive plane. And I think the CRPA is doing a really nice job getting this going.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Davis, Councilman McCoy.
Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Harris also. I think it's a good thing, and I agree with Councilman Davis that it's to see our friends and neighbors who are in law enforcement in a different light when you see them down there, and for the kids that are going to come into contact with them later, maybe negatively, they'll have a positive view. But I also want to make a comment, and I know that Mr. Davis will understand this after his time in education, to see you first as a neighbor, and then to have you come through my school system, and then to see you work your way through jobs and then to doing something like this, and to see you wanting to give back to the community. This is what, as school teachers, Mr. Davis and I have strived for probably 50 to 60 years. And a lot of times we don't see it till way late, or you don't see it until after we're dead. So I'm very, very excited that you're working on this on behalf of the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Coy. And then Councilman Baker had her hand up again first.
So
So-
I just have a
That's okay.
procedural question.
Sure.
We were told that there's going to be vendors, but the resolution has a statement in it that there's not going to
Oh.
be any vendors. So we just will need to modify the resolution.
I'm just missed that. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's
I
okay.
noticed I messed up on the time from the front page to the second thing on the, one says 8, one says 9. 9 was the correct.
August 9th.
No, August 1st, but
Oh,
if you look at the
I'm
front
sorry.
page of what I turned in, it says
Oh.
4 to 8.
Okay.
And then the official application says 4 to 9. I caught that today. I was like,
So what is it? I'm sorry.
So
What is it?
the motion will just need to include the edit that Ms. Baker alluded to.
For the vendors. Okay, great.
and on the business license, I'm hoping people are funneling to you when they're asking to be vendors. I'm making sure that's the one thing I'm asking is that they're going to you guys and making sure they have Yreka business licenses.
Okay, great. So I'll just make a comment. When Jesse called me and I told him what he needed to do, and he contacted Mr. Ledbetter, and I was in the office, I think, same day or next day, and Jason, I never heard of this, and National Night Outs has been going on for a very long. Oh,
I apologize. If you're gonna have vendors, if you could provide us with a list of those vendors so that we make sure they get those daily business licenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
oh, sorry about that. I didn't see it. I didn't see it up there. I need to start looking up more, I guess.
Can I build an Excel roster and then just as things update, just keep sending it to you with the updates?
That'd be fabulous. Thank
Okay.
you.
The
Okay.
application did not include vendors.
So that was noticed that the resolution will say vendors, and then he will give you an updated list of vendors that will get their license, correct? Okay, great. Okay, nothing else. So National Night Out have been going on for a very, very, very long time in other cities. When I was in Sacramento, they had them all over neighborhoods in Sacramento and Roseville, Bay Area. If you look at a pull National Night Out, it pulls up cities. And so they've been going on a long time with, it did start out as just neighborhood block parties, getting to know your neighbor. So I think having as a citywide event, getting to know police officers and community members, and just kind of a fun story about our police is kids do like to see police officers in and community in a different light, because I was at Black Bear about a week ago on a meeting, lunch meeting, and they had a call there, and these kids were excited to see the police. Like, he's pointing at the police car. And our officers, as great as they are, when they're leaving, they turn the lights on for this kid. And he was so excited. It made his whole day, probably by his whole week. And so I think it's good to bring, the community together, know your chief, know us, because a lot of people don't even know us, which is sometimes okay, I guess, but no one knows who the mayor is or who's the mayor. Someone asked me that the other day. I said, me. And they said, oh. So I think it's good to have it. And I appreciate Jesse. Like I said, I've known him since he was a little kid, and we share a relative. So that's full disclosure, but I appreciate his enthusiasm. He has a great family, great community member giving back. So thank you, Jesse, so much. And I'll open up to public for questions or comments. Don Marie.
Yeah. It's a great thing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't like vendors that we don't know anything about, kind of a pig in a poke as far as I'm concerned. Because we don't know who the vendors are. And if this is geared towards children, we need to make sure those vendors are for children, pony rides. Kid things for kids, food, I get, we need to eat and drink a lot. But, he sells knives. I don't think I want that there. I'm just saying, someone else sells guns. I don't want it. I'm different. We need to know who the vendor is and we need to make sure that we get that square. And 7 city blocks, do we need to close 7 city blocks? It's 7 city blocks, that whole thing. And if that's the normal that we do for Gold Rush days, I do. Yeah, we do need them. But just be mindful of the children.
Thank you, Don Marie. Any other public comment? Okay, I will close public comment and I will come back to council. Any other questions? Mr. Ledbetter, any comments or questions? Before I move on?
Nope, I think
All right.
at this point, just looking for a motion.
So the recommended city council action before you is the motion to adopt resolution 23-31 approving street closures and for vendors request to appropriate in-kind services for the Siskiyou County Gun Owners chapter of CRPA event known as
Mr.
National
Mayor,
Rifle-
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
That's okay.
Greta, do you have a comment?
I was going to read that the motion.
Okay.
The resolution is amended to include the consideration of vendors at the event.
Okay,
At
thank
the
you.
end of that motion.
Okay. Thank you. What are the wishes of the council? Councilman McCoy,
So moved.
I have a motion for Council McCoy. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Davis. I will go for roll call. Councilman Kaeg.
Aye.
Councilman Davis,
Aye.
Councilman Baker,
Yes.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
and Mayor Middleton. I will be aye. Congratulations. Motion passes 5-0. Good luck with your event. Thank you. All right. Okay, now we're moving on to item 10. Well, we're moving fast. The city manager and staff to make brief announcements or reports at this time.
We're gonna have the finance director give a brief report.
Oh,
Good evening, council members. Emily Aldrich, Finance Director, City of Yreka. I just wanted to give you guys a brief update on the budget process for our 23-24, 24-25. If I can keep all those dates straight. Budget, we are deep in the throes of it. We're getting very close to have something to take to the finance committee. We are looking balanced for both years, which is wonderful news. Of course, that is including our ARPA funding, which is approximately 495,000. That's helping support us in that balancing for both years. So I always want to keep that in mind, that that is one-time money that we're kind of floating with, that we are continuing to build our revenue models and trying to sustain the level of service once those funds are no longer available. It does include a added clerk position that we discussed at the finance committee meeting. The need for that is very real, that we make sure we are doing our processes correctly and we have a dedicated person for that. And we can stop stretching for Retta back there. It also includes a needed upgrading in staffing for both our water and sewer plants that we are pushing to be a level 4 so that we can be ready for our anticipated growth in the city, that we will be able to handle that appropriately. We are doing this coincidingly with our rate study for 2023 that we are finishing up with Pace Engineering, and we'll be bringing that forward to council shortly for your approval, which will lead us into our 218 process so we can get that going and be ready in January. I want to thank my fellow department heads for being very, very helpful in this process and being very cognizant of their spending and where they really truly have needs so that we can be successful going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Oh, okay. Welcome back.
Oh, we're good? Okay.
Oh, no, I said thank you.
She's like, oh, no.
We'll have opportunities for questions over the budget at the next meeting. Is what we're anticipating. So. And once again, this is Jason Ledbetter, City Manager for the City of Yreka. So I'm just going to give a brief staff report to you. Just real quick, the bid docs are out for the roofing at the community center. So that's very exciting. At one point, we were attempting to have the HVAC unit installed and then come over and do the roofing, but the HVAC is still taking a long time here as far as the supply chain is concerned. And so ultimately, we're just going to move forward with the roofing and then we'll cut into that roofing with the HVAC system. We added a dumpster over to Campus Drive this week. I met with the owner of the Hill Street home that was moved with the new courthouses. The plan is to move this home to Montague. Tomorrow evening, that decision or discussion will be happening at the Montague Planning Commission. So I'll attend the Planning Commission here at 5:30. And then I will either zoom in at 6:30 at Montague or race over there to hear what the determination is on whether or not they will allow that house to be moved to the city of Montague. We had a communications ad hoc meeting on 6/22. We're working with the ballot initiative consultant for polling of the public for possible tax initiative to fund the new fire hall and add some paid fire staff. We did unfortunately reach an impasse with the current home key project. Unfortunately, the owner of the motel we were working with is requesting twice the appraised value of the site. This is just unfortunately not feasible and would take away from the construction funding to remodel units and address the $4 million in deferred maintenance of the site that has been documented through this process. We're highly interested in pivoting to an alternative idea, and we had a meeting yesterday looking at partnering with the Yreka tribe on this project as well. So we're fleshing out that idea. And it's currently sounds pretty promising, but we have more options at the next funding round if we can't have a project materialize with the Yreka at this time. But ultimately, it's very unfortunate. We had an appraised value on the site at $2.5 million, and the owner wanted double that. And that's just not reasonable to spend grant money in that fashion. So I will be heading to Shasta Lake City to meet the city manager this Thursday. I had originally scheduled this for the week of the McKinney fire, actually, and I ultimately was unable to go. They have a huge redevelopment project going on, an economic redevelopment project, and so I'm very interested to talk to the city manager in Shasta Lake City on how they went about getting that grant, and so I'll be doing that. And then finally, as you are all aware, I will be taking this Friday off as a vacation day. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. Are you coming back to see us?
I missed you.
Oh.
I apologize. I wanted to encourage you all to reach out, come talk to me about the budget. Let me show you what's going on. If you have specific interests or just want to see the overall process, I am here usually 5 days a week. But yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to come see me and spend some time and go through the budget so that you have that full understanding as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. All right. Another. Okay. All right, we'll go on to mayor and council report statements and requests. We'll go with Councilman Cade first.
Okay. Report wise, geez, since our last meeting, I'm trying to think of all of this things we went through quite a few little meetings. A lot of homeless meetings we've had, good ones, some really good ones. I did presentation for, I don't know if I did the last time I told you guys that for the Patriots, I did a presentation there, which was well received for the homelessness, I should say.
Yeah.
had a presentation I did for JPR, Jefferson Public Radio, that I did that was primarily about Project Home Key, but so that's obviously changed. But that was main topic for Jefferson Public Radio that I did a presentation on, but we actually got to discuss a lot of other things. Had a lot of citizens obviously talking about the homelessness and creative ideas on what we should do. So I'd like to encourage Mr. McCoy and I and Mr. Ledbetter to have a meeting and with our homelessness and discuss some of these topics and then bring it back to the council. If it's okay with the council, would like to bring that back, not next meeting, but maybe the meeting afterwards on some ideas. And some of these ideas that citizens have, some really good ideas on moving forward. I know they on homelessness, they also opened up the cooling shelter to the Karuk tribe actually had a cooling shelter going on, and the library actually had it. And there was actually the library in Dunsmuir and a few other locations actually had a cooling shelter going on in Siskiyou County also for the homeless. We've a success story. I want to another shout out. I think I've talked to a lot of individuals about this. We one of our individuals that's part of our homelessness coalition. He's a member of our COC, Continuum of Care. He's actually been real active on changing his life around. He's cleaned up his act and been going to through some programs, and he's actually been working out in my shop recently too, and working hard. So it's really proud to see, you know, some individuals stepping up to the plate and actually doing some positive things. And he's been working pretty much every day out my shop now, doing cleanup and just whatever he can find. So it's neat to see that advancement and that change in his life. And we're talking about this. I was talking to some citizens yesterday, matter of fact, about some of the homelessness, and a lot of people are not aware of, you know, some of these individuals that live here. They're actually been residents here for some of them their whole life. And a lot of people have this misconception that the homeless individuals that are here are people that transplants from other areas, and it's not true. So when you educate people on that aspect, it puts a whole new light on it, knowing that that people that some of these homeless individuals are actually our neighbors and family, or people that we may have known all of our life too. And they've been students, they from teaching and stuff. So it's been good educating a lot of the public and having the chance to go on, like I said, Jefferson Radio and talk about that. And I hope to, you know, be able to educate more people, and we need to work together as a community on figuring out how to do the right thing for everybody in this community and clean up our city and make it a positive place again. You know, it's neat to see Greenhorn a clean place again. The Greenway, I don't know if, you know, a lot of people been going on the Greenway. I walked through the Greenway, you know, again this weekend, and unfortunately we still have the graffiti on the bridge that we got to talk about, but and there's one camp underneath there, but all in all, it's cleaned up. You know, it's looking good. It really is. The Greenway's looking good. Greenhorn Park's looking fabulous, and it's just neat to see people using it, seeing these events going on. And it's all the traffic I see going up by my house on a daily basis. It's amazing. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people going up to the lower Greenhorn Park. That's not including the upper Greenhorn Park. So it's great. Like I said, going back to as far as being a valuable asset for the community, it's probably number one asset for our Yreka community is Greenhorn Park. So it being utilized every day it's amazing. It really is. So sure, I got more to talk about, but I'll shut up so everybody else can talk. So thank you for listening. And like I said, I appreciate everybody's input on homelessness, and we are definitely going to address some of these issues. And it's great to see that citizens are being proactive, and I'm hoping that we can get more activity by the citizens on moving forward and keeping things clean. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kay. Councilman Davis.
You're aware that I'm on the Fire Safe Council, and they publish it the last 14 weeks, a little reminder for people on how to make their home fire safe. And I kind of asked the city and they copied it off for me. And so I have a copy for each one of you. And it'd probably be worth a look. I mean, we're a little past spring, but we're coming into the fire season, and I believe that there's some things here that might help, and we can pass it on.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Probably seen it all. Probably. It's all of it,
Thank you.
Jay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's sharp.
About this stuff. It's pretty interesting stuff. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's cool.
And Mr. Mayor, that's what I have.
That's it. All right. Councilman Baker.
Thank you so much. As far as attending meetings, I attended a C2C meeting on June 27th. And Yreka hosted it at Natalie Ty, and it was a great turnout. And the organization continues to work on their website, and they're wanting to update bike routes throughout the county to have those available up at Collier for tourists, as well as updating hiking trails, a map for hiking trails. So there's a couple of members that are working on that. So that's always a fun group to get together with. And if anybody's interested in volunteering at the Collier Rest Area, we are in extreme need of volunteers to man the information center there. So you can always see me for more information if you'd like. We also had a communications meeting that I thought was very, very productive. And speaking of the communications meeting, I'm hoping that we can get one scheduled for the end of July. That would be helpful. And then, the 4th of July has come and gone, but we had implemented our new ordinance, the ban on fireworks. And I always think that it's so important that we take the time to evaluate the laws that we put into place as city council. And so I really would like to see our fire chief come before us and give us a report on the activities for the 4th of July, maybe the days preceding and the days after. I'm really just curious to know how many complaints, if any, were received, or how many responses were made for fireworks being set off in the city. And along with that, I think that when I first started on council, I think it was at the first of the year, we also approved Yreka Police Department a new dispatch software system. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would also just like to hear from the chief of police at a future meeting about how that's going for them. And I think the only other thing that I have, just a couple more things, is I'd really like the council to consider getting together to review the code of conduct so that we can get that done and updated, hopefully, by the end of the year. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I really would like to see that. And then I also recently watched a really interesting documentary that I'd just like to recommend. It's Seattle is Dying. If you haven't seen it, I would really recommend that you watch it. It's on YouTube, and it was put out by Como for Seattle television station. Just fascinating information on what that city is going through. But I especially appreciated towards the end of the documentary, they went to a state on the East Coast that has worked out a solution for helping alleviate the homeless. So I just would highly recommend that. So anyway, thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Baker. Yeah.
Is C2C gonna be there this year? And the one over in Tule Lake as well. Yeah, they usually. Normally C2C is at our fairgrounds and the Tule Lake. I didn't know if there's any talk about that or not.
There was no talk about that, and I'm the new kid on the block. So I'll ask that question and get back to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, Councilman McCoy.
So I'll go ahead and I want to start with a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Mr. Ledbetter. I know he has been working hard this summer. We've got a lot more. We've got $101 million in projects in the hopper, moving along, coming along, or getting near the end of. Done, the least of which is the Burgess and the sewer project and South Oregon. So I want to thank you for everything you and your staff have done to push things along, because we've got a lot of stuff that people just don't see. I want to particularly thank YPD. I would like for you to express my deepest gratitude. I got the opportunity to work with YPD last week. It was a wonderful opportunity. Without saying any more than that, tremendous response. The SO was wonderful. David Johnson and all your officers, Sergeant Dirksen. So please accept the circumstances don't matter. Please accept my deepest gratitude for your force. I want to also chime in on the code of conduct. We've been talking about doing code of conduct now. It's almost 9 months. I think it's time that I'd like to see it by the end of July or the beginning of August at the latest, September with our attorney. We need to do that since nobody that has come on new has had any training with California League of Cities. And I think that's what really kind of fine-tuned for me what my focus and what my role was. I thought my role was one thing. And when I went down there, those gentlemen and women said, no, that is not your role. Your role is 1 of 5. And, you need to bring things to fruition. So I'm going to really ask to encourage you to do that. If you would do that, and with us 5 and with our attorney, get our attorney up here. I am going to speak to a couple of things. I've had complaints regarding the closure at the north and south end of town. I've had reports on that. I've discussed with the city manager. He's been wonderful about it, but I'm going to bring it out in comments because I've had multiple complaints about the fact that it's still closed, complaints about the fact that people are picking up nails, screws and stuff. I've had 3 complaints on that in their tires. I understand that's normal wear and tear. I understand. But one person had picked up 3 in like 2 weeks. I've had 2 people concerned about the freeway signs, the electric freeway signs at both off south and north off ramp, because they are somewhat confusing on closures. Again, that's something that I know that the city manager is working on, but I just want to bring it up here so that we know that, because in my opinion, I don't think we're getting any communication from Caltrans, and they don't feel that it's their business to communicate to us. This is their job, their $45 million job, and they will do it, and we will sit by and, they can't. So anyway, and then I've talked to the city manager about this. He's been wonderful about it. As G&G propane come by, and I don't know whether this is going to be G&G or whether it's going to be Caltrans or who it is, but I ride a motorcycle, and a half-inch lip will throw you on the ground. And so the covering of the propane, where they're putting in the propane lines, they're not filling them back up. And so they're leaving large dimples, they're 6 or 8 inches wide. And I would love to see somebody respond to that at some point. I'm not the only one that rides. I realize there's probably only 10 or 12 of us that are riding in the city on a regular basis, but we count just as much as any car that's out there. So again, I also want to thank this council and YPD, YFD, and the city manager, assistant city manager, for helping us with the July 4th fireworks ban. Although there were negative things said about it, and of course, our fire chief told us at our last meeting when we voted that yes, we are still in a drought area, and yes, a drought time, and yes, I think he said either 5 or 6 fires that he had seen that were started by fireworks in Yreka. That's not a ton. I understand that, but I sure wouldn't want it to be somebody else's house and be on my conscience. So I'm very thankful to the city manager, the council, all five of you, YFD and YPD for just being out there and supporting it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. See, I don't think I attended any meetings besides our communications. We do need to get that back on. Sorry. And just want to remind our council that we did have a attorney law firm change that's had to review our code of conduct, and I talked with him. He is going to be reviewing it, so it will be coming back. But of course, you know, he did need to read it and go through some things. So we will get back to you, Mr. McCoy, on that. We'll get with it. Can we just ask Mr. Jared, or I'll direct you, Mr. Ledbetter, for Mr. Jared, we can put on that calendar. I'll be taking time off in middle of August. So I probably won't come until end of August. If anybody has it, if they beforehand scheduled, I will not be making it. So end of August will be good for me.
End of August, early September for code of conduct meeting.
Yes, that's okay with everybody else, but if it's beforehand, I won't be here. Okay, September might be. Yeah. Yeah, but we do have a new attorney. He hasn't been here with 9 months. Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't think I attended the communications meeting. That went really well, so we'll get that on the calendar. Yeah, you know, the city has gone through some definitely ups and downs, but like I said, I always tell people it's a new day. I see a new horizon. I know there's some things that are happening fast enough for our citizens, but you know, I ask, please be patient. I'm sorry you have nails in but we're gonna have a beautiful Main Street when it's done. I have the opposite. I've heard from some business owners, one who owns 4 businesses in town. He owns one on Fort Jones Road, called me on something different and said, you know, my business suffered, but it all ends. It's gonna be beautiful in front of my store. And I support this. Sorry, you guys are getting some negative feedback, but it's gonna be done. My business is flowing again. Yeah, I took a hit, but I'm happy for the city of Yreka to get looking good in what you guys are doing. So that was a good compliment, and coming from this gentleman. So anyways, we're going through growing pains, but there's many projects on the table. We have a great city manager who is dialed into making the city better. We have a great council that is driven. We may not always disagree, but one thing always comes back around is we're always striving for the best of our citizens and our constituents and for what's the better future of Yreka. So I will end with that. Thank you, guys.